Alright, a question was brought up recently as to whether or not you can save a flare once it's been crimped by the cap, and I'll explain a little more about that in a minute. But I used to work for a really large train dealer and ran into this issue quite often, so I had to come up with a way to do it, and this is the method that I use. And I used it, I've used it a lot out in the field and been successful every time. But anyways, so what happens is on train units they have these caps right here, and if you look inside of the cap, instead of it being like a perfect mating surface to the flare, like a reverse mirror image of the flare, so it mates down really nicely, it's almost more like a step. And because it's a step, if you tighten it too tight, it pinches the top of the flare and crimps it inward. I don't know how clear that is on the camera. You can sort of see how it's been pinched like that. So I damaged this flare pretty badly. And it's so bad, in fact, that you can't even get a core remover tool down in there. By the way, if you're wondering about this, you buy these core holders and they don't hold any cores. Like I bought this one, and just imagine this piece up here, but you've got this much space to hold cores. Just stupid. So anyways, I put a pipe in there to make it not, now it holds like 1,000 cores. But anyway, that's what this is. But you can't. It's so bad you can't even get that in there. So if this leaks, you have no way to extract it. So what you're going to use is a Reamer, like what a machinist would use. This is 5.2 millimeters, which sounds kind of random, but it's just a hair over the width of the valve core, so you can bore down in there and then extract that valve core. By the way, if you have cutting tools like these Reamers or unibits or whatever, and you don't want them to get damaged by rolling around in your van and cutting into things or chipping, just put a little piece of tubing over it. But anyways, so this is what it is. I'll put a link to these in the description. It's a 2-pack for like $10, but you're going to want to make sure that you buy one that has a hole in it, and it seems like most of them do. It's probably just the way that they're manufactured, but that hole, what that hole does is, because your core, you see there's a little nub on there and it doesn't go down. If you push it down, got sliced on that Reamer, thumb's bleeding a little bit. If you push it down, you'll see that it stops. So if you're trying to cut this with a Reamer that doesn't have that hole, it's going to stop there and leave a lot of brass. So that hole does two things. It first of all, it gives room for this little plunger to go up into, so that you're not spraying refrigerant everywhere until you get really close, and then you'll get a little puff of refrigerant out of there. But what that's actually going to do is help clear the chips. So anyways, so I've got a core in there, and this one's really badly damaged, so we're gonna, I'm just gonna demonstrate that. I'm not gonna do it on a unit because I don't want to ruin the service valve on a unit just to show this process. But on a unit, you're just gonna be working on the service valve. So anyways, just go in there, drill kind of slow until it stops. Okay. Now you can see what it's done there. You've cut down to the shoulder of the flare, and you're gonna have a little bit of a burr to kind of like clear as you spin the valve core out. Now remember, because you're doing this, you're removing those threads, so your valve core is going to come out really quickly. It's not going to be like you have to screw it way out. Just keep that in mind. And you know, with all my videos, I'm not recommending you do this. Do it at your own risk, you know, blah blah blah. But anyways, this is just what I do. So you would take your core remover and get it in there, and then you're just going to spin it out. There's a teeny tiny bit of resistance as you're kind of you know, working past that burr that was created. So anyways, just backing that out, and there we go. There's the core. Okay, and if you feel like it's too much, you know, it is possible to snap these. If you really torque, you can snap off that little shoulder there where you're grabbing it. Just work it back and forth, you know, similar to how you would like a tap or something like that. But anyways, what this does, if you use the problem is if you use too big of a reamer, you're gonna cut the flare face off. But this reamer does a pretty good job. You can see it's exactly, you might could upsize to 5.3 if you found that it was a little too stiff, but these do work well. And then what you're going to do is, hang on a second. Then where you've cut this, you know, it's sharp now, and then you're just gonna square it off with a file lightly, and that's gonna keep your hose gaskets from getting torn up. But you're just taking off the sharp edge, and that's pretty much it. You can see there's flares still there, and it'll seal just fine with a good cap. And so you want to take these and just throw them away so that this can't be crimped again, and put on a really good cap. I really like these. I think they're some of the best caps out there, but not the black ones, the brass ones. The black ones I just shoved in there, but these, because they don't have a little chintzy O-ring in them, they actually have a really, almost like a hose gasket style O-ring. So, you know, you can cinch that down on there, and it covers the whole face of the flare all the way up. So anyways, guys, hope that was helpful. Again, you know, as you're backing the flare out, you know, if it feels like you're up against some resistance or something, just screw it back in, work it back out. You know, this is a less than ideal process, and it's delicate. You know, ideally you would just replace the service valve, but we can't just do that. I mean, that could cost the customer a lot of money. I mean, if they want you to do it, then great, but you know, if you got a unit that's leaking like crazy out of a valve core, and you've got 50 pounds of R22 in there, this can really get you out of a jam. So anyways, hope that helps.